Now, with all the latest weekend headlines this Sunday night, it's the ITV News.
On the podium in Tokyo, Team GB win their first medals at the Olympic Games. Bradley Sinden from Doncaster won silver in the Taekwondo, while student Chelsea Giles took bronze in Judo's spiritual home.
To be wearing this bronze medal around my neck is a very, very proud moment.
Also ahead, Scotland's First Minister warns of the dangers of open water swimming after 6 people lose their lives this weekend. While in London, torrential rain causes flash flooding. The Health Secretary apologises for suggesting Britons cower from the coronavirus.
Latitude, I'm feeling absolutely marvellous.
And festivals are back. Rick Astley on returning to the live stage.
This is ITV News with Geraint Vincent.
Good evening. 2 young martial artists have fought brilliantly to put Great Britain on the medals table at the end of the second full day of events at the Olympic Games. A day when Team GB also suffered some setbacks. The 2-time Olympic champion Sir Andy Murray had to pull out of the tennis singles because of an injury, and the defending Taekwondo champion Jade Jones suffered a shock defeat in the first round. Our sports editor Steve Scott reports from Tokyo.
As a day of disappointment wore on, you could sense the inner doubts from fans everywhere. Where is GB's first medal coming from?
Chelsea Giles has the advantage.
The answer was a 24-year-old student from Coventry. Chelsea Giles making British Olympic history after fighting her way to bronze in judo's 52-kilogram category.
Obviously everyone is going for gold, but to be wearing this bronze medal around my neck is a very, very proud moment.
Later, Taekwondo world champion Bradley Sinden from Doncaster went one better, but couldn't quite make the top of the podium. It was very close, but ultimately he was beaten in the gold medal match by the teenage fighter from Uzbekistan, Ulubek Rashidov. Jade Jones, aiming for a 3rd gold in successive games, was a shock casualty in her very first fight. As teammates looked on in disbelief, Jones later said the lack of friends and family allowed in Tokyo contributed to her early exit.
This is wonderful stuff.
In life, there are few things you can rely on, but Adam Peaty is one of them. His semi-final win, the 11th quickest in history, and yes, he owns every one of the top 10 too. The only thing Peaty has lost recently is the moustache he was sporting yesterday. His swim for gold comes tomorrow. Elsewhere, it had been a challenging day. Sir Andy Murray withdrew from the tennis singles with a muscle strain. He will, though, keep battling on in the doubles. The Japanese are warming to these games. They were out in force for the women's road race today. The surprise winner, Anna Kiesenhofer from Austria, a doctor of mathematics who studied at Cambridge University. She was so far ahead, the Dutch cyclist in second thought she had actually won.
Surely he can't win it. He's going to.
Competing for shock of the day, right out in lane 8, Tunisia's Ahmed Hafnoui, who was slowest qualifying for the men's 400 metres freestyle. Somehow, the 18-year-old managed to beat off the favourites to take gold.
Unbelievable.
As the sun fades at the end of day 2 of Tokyo's Games, Team GB are at last up and running on the medal table. 1 silver and 1 bronze in the bag, but they're having to wait for another day at least for that very special golden glow. It's very likely that wait will be ended by Adam Peaty. He races in his final tomorrow morning and looks unstoppable. And if past Olympic Games are anything to go by for Team GB, once they've grabbed the first one, the rest start to follow pretty soon afterwards. Steve Scott, ITV News, Tokyo.
And some Olympic events have been called off tomorrow as a typhoon heads towards Japan. Extreme weather has wrought havoc across the world this weekend. Typhoon Infa made landfall in eastern China, causing unprecedented flooding. More than 60 people have been killed and around 300,000 people have been forced to leave their homes. Meanwhile, in California, the largest wildfire so far this year has destroyed homes in remote areas with limited access for firefighters. As the fire intensifies, a number of small communities have been evacuated. In Britain, Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has urged people who go swimming in Scotland's lochs and rivers to please take care after 6 people lost their lives in the water this weekend. A mother and her young son died after getting into difficulties at Loch Lomond, and a 7-year-old boy who was rescued is in a critical condition in hospital tonight. Martha Fairley reports.
9-year-old Rana Harris Ali was enjoying a trip to Pulpit Rock near Ardluey at the north of Loch Lomond with his family yesterday evening. But somehow he, his mother and a family friend, Mohammed Asim Riaz, who was 41, got into difficulty in the water, along with Mohammed's 7-year-old son. An eyewitness filmed as emergency services tried to save them after they were pulled from the loch.
There was a lot of police presence on the beach. There was Coast Guards, there was a lot of fire brigade and rescue vehicles all on the main roadside. You could see there was something drastic had happened.
But Rana, his mother and Mohammed were all pronounced dead at the scene. The 7-year-old boy is in hospital in Glasgow, where he remains in intensive care. Ardluey, with its beautiful views at the northern tip of Loch Lomond, is popular with tourists and holidaymakers. The 3 deaths here come after a 16-year-old boy died at Balloch Country Park at the south of Loch Lomond on Friday. And an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old boy died after 2 further incidents involving water in South Lanarkshire on Saturday. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon tweeted, "This is heartbreaking. My thoughts and condolences are with the loved ones of those who have lost their lives in the water over the past couple of days. In Scotland we have some of the most beautiful lochs and rivers in the world, but if swimming in them, please take care." Police Scotland are keen to speak to a family who were in the area of the Ardluey incident and may be able to assist with inquiries. And they're warning that while in hot weather, open water may appear inviting, it's also very dangerous. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
And while fine weather led to tragic incidents in Scotland, torrential rain has caused chaos in parts of London this afternoon. Houses, railway stations and even hospitals were flooded. Mark Mallett has the details.
You could easily mistake London's Ring Road for a river. The giveaway is the motorists who slowly and carefully tried to navigate their way through the floodwaters. Others, though, weren't so lucky. And in the southwest, emergency services swapped their blue light vehicles for rubber boats. The fire brigade has been dealing with hundreds of emergency calls to assist trapped motorists and residents. The NHS has tonight declared a critical incident due to flooding at the Whipps Cross and Newham hospitals in the east of the city, with emergency and maternity services affected and ambulances having to be redirected too. Dockland Light Railway Station at Pudding Mill was one of several tube stations flooded.
Look, the first manhole. Oh my God.
While these passengers probably didn't expect the bus they were travelling in to start taking on water on a Sunday afternoon. And this motorist, well, didn't quite take into account the sheer amount of water in his way. The Met Office had issued a weather warning for heavy rain. The heatwave earlier this week, well, that's now just a distant memory. Mark Mallett, ITV News.
The Home Office says another 378 people have been intercepted attempting to cross the Channel today. In a statement, the Home Secretary Priti Patel said the government was working hard to take down what she called the evil criminal gangs behind the latest crossings. And the Health Secretary has apologised after suggesting that Britain shouldn't cower from the coronavirus. It led to criticism from the relatives of some of those who have died. Our political correspondent David Wood is here. David, this was a tweet which caused this upset, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was one promoting the jabs. Of course, Sajid Javid is recovering himself from coronavirus, and he said that people should get jabbed as we learn to live with rather than cower from the virus. And it's that cower word that's caused so much hurt, particularly to groups like the COVID-19 bereaved families for justice. I spoke to one member of that group today whose father passed away with the virus, and she said she found it incredibly insulting what the Health Secretary had said. There's been criticism too from opposition politicians. So Sajid Javid apologised, deleted that post and put up another one to say he too has lost loved ones to this virus and he would never minimise its impact. I think that means the political row is over, but it's done a lot of damage for his reputation for people who were bereaved and lost loved ones to the virus.
And we've had more details about how vaccine passports might work later this year.
Yes, and that's more to do with learning to live with this virus. The government, it's become increasingly clear during the day, is looking very seriously at making sure that people, when they attend events of more than 20,000 people, will have to prove they've had both jabs from the early autumn. By then, every adult in England should have been offered both of their COVID vaccines. The government, though, is still looking at whether the England matches around the Euros and the celebrations there, exactly what that affected. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but it's looking increasingly likely these are likely to come in, particularly starting off with in the Premier League, where discussions are well underway.
OK, David, many thanks. Finally, to one of those events where COVID passports could soon become a fixture. 40,000 people have been at the Latitude Festival this weekend. Among those performing was Rick Astley. After coming off stage, he spoke to our arts editor, Nina Nanar, about what it was like to be back in front of a live audience.
They were never going to give up on the idea of doing this again. Even for veteran performer Rick Astley, playing in front of a huge audience, 40,000 people have attended Latitude over the past 4 days. This was quite a milestone.
It's amazing. I was a bit nervous. I've not really been nervous in that way for a long time, but obviously getting back to gigging, it's strange, if I'm honest, it really is. And it's just, you're so used to being so literally locked up and everything, that to see that many people, but you just have to keep thinking everyone's good, we're all ready, you know, we're all safe, we're all doing this responsibly, and so let's just get it on.
To gain entry, the audience needed proof of a negative lateral flow test and would have to take another 48 hours later or be fully vaccinated.
The government is finalising plans to move on to some kind of vaccine passport. I mean, where do you stand on that, Rick?
I think it's extremely difficult, and it's a very, very personal issue for a lot of people, obviously. My thing is I want to go back to gigging. I want this to become normal again, and I'm sort of comfortable in putting my trust in science, and I'm comfortable to a degree of putting my trust in the government, that they're going to lead us the right way to do this.
The festival organiser says the world is watching Latitude. Live festival music is back, though normality may still be some way off.
Latitude, I'm feeling absolutely marvellous.
Nina Nanar, ITV News at the Latitude Festival in Suffolk.
And that is all from us this evening. From all of us on the Weekend News team, have a very good night.